sometimes families, they try to create, or like parents try to create these really memorable and meaningful family experiences, right? Well, when I was a preteen, my father decided it would be a great idea to buy a boat where we could spend long weeks on end in the summer in secluded Chesapeake Bay coves where the preteens couldn't escape the parents, and in hindsight, the parents couldn't escape the preteens. So my father was experienced, he was an experienced boater, he had a boat when he was younger, but the rest of his crew, my mother, my brother, and myself, we were slow learners, and we quickly earned the titles of Numbskull 1, Numbskull 2, and Numbskull 3. And what is it like to be on a boat with your family? Well, imagine the dinner table, being around a family dinner table, right? But for 3 hours straight, and there's no alcohol. There's no alcohol, and you can't leave the table, except maybe to go to the bathroom. But even then, it's only number 1 because you can't do number 2. Number 2 is definitely not allowed on the boat. So that's what it's like to be on a boat with your family. And this one particular cruise that we did, we had selected Baltimore Inner Harbor as our destination. I mean, it's great. There's a lot of family-oriented stuff that we could do. There's the aquarium, as we know. There's the IMAX theater, and we had tickets to a baseball game. So after 3 hours of being on this boat with our family, literally tripping over each other in this cramped quarters, not able to escape each other, we are so anxious to just fucking get to Baltimore and get off this boat. So it's a really hot summer day, and we're all in our bathing suits, and we all have bare feet. And we get to Baltimore, and we're getting into the harbor, and Mom hops out. She's gonna help us dock the boat, right? And so my brother and I were throwing her the lines. And apparently, there's a certain way of throwing lines, because every time that we did it, it ended up in the water. So, you know, chuck and kerplunk, and chuck and kerplunk, and this went on for like 10 minutes. And Mom's, you know, she's barefoot, so she starts dancing. And that starts, you know, making my brother and I start laughing even harder, and then we start failing even harder. And finally, the line goes sailing through the air, and Mom makes the perfect catch. Only problem is, we've thrown her the wrong end. You see, on our end, a line has this big ass knot in it. And the reason why that's a problem is because in order to tie it off on our end, it's got to go through this hole first. And the knot is bigger than the hole, so we've got a problem. Now my mom, her feet are on fire, and she's given up on her 2 other numbskulls, and so she sits down on her ass on the pier in her bathing suit, and her feet are so hot that she raises them and extends them above her head in the air, and they are flailing. And just then, a good Samaritan from a neighboring boat comes up, and he notices, for some reason, our distress, and he asks if we could use some help. And in response, my mother, with her ass on the pier, in her bathing suit, with her legs in a V-shaped formation above her head, I mean, perfect crotch shot, right? Screams out, "It won't go in the hole! It won't go in the hole!" As if our entrance into Baltimore Harbor was not memorable enough, our exit was not going to disappoint. And so, Numbskull 1, 2, and 3, we were all determined that we were going to have a better exit than entrance to Baltimore Inner Harbor. And so Mom gets out on the pier again. She's in her bathing suit, but she's got her flip-flops on. And she unties all those lines, and she throws them at us. And 2 numbskulls miraculously catch them and bring them on board. And Mom hops back on board, and Dad's behind the wheel, and he asks, "Are we all clear?" That means, are there any, did you get all the lines on board? And so we yell back, "All clear!" Mom, my brother, and I, we all look at each other like, thank God, this family bonding session is about to be over. And Dad hits the forward throttle. And we look back for one last goodbye at Baltimore Inner Harbor. And as we do, the bright yellow electrical cables are rising up as we make our way back out into the harbor. And they're becoming tighter and straighter. And the electrical tower that they are connected to, the bright yellow one, with the black exclamation point inside of a bright yellow triangle is starting to tip. And 3 sets of numbskull eyes gape and watch in horror as this electrical tower smashes down on the pier. We had forgotten to unplug the electric. While we were really good at getting the lines down, we had forgotten to pull down the electric, and we had taken down an entire electrical pole on the pier. But don't worry, guys, nobody was hurt, and we didn't start any fires that day. The boat didn't burn down, and the pier didn't boat down, and we didn't burn down the Good Samaritan's boat. But we don't know if we're allowed back in Baltimore. You know, our boat name very well may be on a shit list somewhere, and we haven't had the courage to try to go back. But the ultimate dream, memorable family vacation that my dad had in mind, you know, did in fact become one of the most memorable in our family history, even if it wasn't quite the way my dad had hoped. And, you know, since then we have become really good boaters, guys. Like, I have to, if I tell the story, I have to give us props for that. But we know today that we have truly earned our titles of Numbskull 1, Numbskull 2, and Numbskull 3. Thank you.